Okay. Hello everyone. Um, so here I am Sriji Gopinathan, CIO of Lupin, and with me I have Ravi Sharma, who's head of IT in Vanbury Limited. Um, Thank you very much for this invitation to be part of this discussion in ILET's National CIO Virtual Conclave 2020. The topic Ravi and I would be discussing today will be what will be the disruptive deliveries in healthcare and pharma post-COVID. As we all know, COVID has been, the sort of front runner news in everything that is happening around us, be it the business or personal life. And it has had its fair share of impact on every sector. There is a thought that healthcare and pharma has not been really impacted, but I think that is not really true. There has been an impact on the healthcare and pharma sector as well. So we would focus on this sector in this discussion as we take this forward. Ravi, by asking you, what were the challenges and opportunities that you faced amid the COVID times in your company?
Yeah, actually, this is something which was, uncalled for. Nobody knew what is going to come, and I am sure nobody was prepared for this. So the most of the the challenges what the IT department faced is how to continue the business. Even if when the users are at home, how to make sure that the factories are operational, how to make sure that we get the we place the orders with the customers for the raw material. And most important is that, most of the organization, everybody is not ready to be deployed with the laptops. So the major challenges was, the get the things on board, make sure that everybody, not everybody, but most of the people who are required to, see that the business is functioning smoothly are to be provided with the remote access. They should be enabled with the work from home facility. And then keeping in mind, the security part, because once we start working from home, I'm sure none of the home network is secure, and we are entering into a company network through an unsecured network. There are a lot of challenges in that, and then see that, provide users the remote support, make sure that the applications are up and running, observe them, monitor them remotely on time to time basis. It's not daily basis, but the maybe a sort of every hour basis. Make sure that the server room is lights are on. That is the major challenge to be faced by the most of the IT people, and see that the required information flows to the people who are the decision maker in the in the organizations. These were the major challenges we have faced, and fortunately, even though there were the challenges, there were the opportunities. Uh, this is the time for us to think what we can do beyond what we have right now in our plate. Like everybody is not on the cloud, so now we have a chance that some of the informations which are required to be shared commonly by all the users are to be placed in a central network from where the people can access, because I am sure the last mile which is there in the organizations is not adequate enough to cater to all the users to work remotely. So this was one of the biggest thing, and this has given a sort of opportunity for us now. Yes, we will be exploring most of the things, and then the other thing is security part. So security also will be one of the another challenge, and converted into opportunity to be tightened in the organizations. Yeah.
Hmm. How about the digitization? Do you have a digital transformation journey? Is that having an impact because of COVID?
Yeah, this will have impact. The reason is, for example, let's take an example of pharma. Like at least on a shop floor, things flow through paper. Like we have BPR, BMR. Okay, now the regulators have not yet accepted fully the eBPR and eBMR. So this will definitely give a chance for the regulator to accept some of the information which are in a digital form. See, one of the
Yeah.
things what happened for us is like, there was an audit announced by some of the regulators, and then it is difficult for them to come over there. So it was a sort of a remote audit, and things will be taken care of through that document sharing at a common folder, and then sharing information one to one through the the webcams and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I just want to know the how far is the the supply chain was taken care of during this COVID, because this was one of the basic things which is required for the manufacturing organizations, be it pharma or be it any other organizations. So can you throw
Yeah.
some light? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, as pharma and healthcare sector, even though immediately after the post lockdown, which was like end of March, there wasn't any day where the business was completely shut down. There were a couple of days where it took to understand, okay, how do we operate, how do we get the required passes and everything, from a manufacturing and supply chain point of view. So that took a couple of days. But then the other challenge was people. The people who were supposed to be doing the work in our warehouses, etc. They a lot of them had gone back to their hometowns, villages, etc. So there was a manpower availability issue as well. But I think in a week to 10 days, we found other mechanisms, other people to come and make things happen. So the other problem was the trucks availability. The normal trucking companies, the freight providers also could not provide the trucks, again because of lack of drivers and things like issues like that. So there also we had to make a lot of alternate arrangements, smaller vehicles, in some cases even taxis, all those kind of things had to be arranged in the short term. But now if I look at now, which is a few months down the line, and you can see some indications that the government is starting to relax the lockdown as well. So even though in Maharashtra, for example, the lockdown has been extended till 30th, there are bits and pieces of relaxation also that is happening if you read through the guideline that has come from the government. There were actions taken early on to address some of the challenges, which is helping, and I think we are seeing now some people are coming back as well. The biggest challenge, although, apart from all of this, was the increase in cost, especially for the air freight. I think it went multifold, especially because of the export business that we have. The freight cost has gone actually multifold in the first few weeks and maybe a couple of months as well. It has come down a little bit over the last month or so, but still it is quite significantly higher compared to what it was. So apart from the logistical challenge and the manpower availability challenge and alternate arrangements that we have to make, there has been an impact on the cost base of freight itself. So that essentially means it has an impact on the profitability of the company as well, right? So you will continue to see that as we go. As far as the logistical issues are concerned, we are, I think, pretty much there. Localized lockdowns still continue to happen in certain areas, especially when it comes to some of the other partners and vendors that we use in our supply chain. Suddenly they will have to shut down. They are not able to get the material to us, and all those kind of issues are still there, and that will continue to happen depending on whether that area is classified as a problem area or not, the red zone or not. But otherwise, more or less, I think we are back. In terms of the normalcy as far as the supply chain logistics is concerned. Cost remains a concern. So we will see how that evolve. Hopefully the rates will come down with the airline industry taking a hit. This is not something which will come back in the short term, is what I feel. Yeah.
And what is the outlook growth sector? Outlook for this sector in terms of growth, because of the challenges.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at the pharma sector or the healthcare sector, the fundamentals of that industry, I think, is not going to change very heavily, right? because this is about healthcare. This is about availability of medicines and other therapies that is needed for people. Now, if you look at the next layer of that, there is chronic care as well as acute care. So chronic care, I don't think, I mean, apart from some spikes where people started buying medicines thinking that it may not be available early on during this lockdown, I think the business is normal. People, need those medicines and they need to take those medicines without any compromise, right? So chronic care will continue as normal as earlier. Acute care, there is an impact because you and I, for example, will go to a doctor for something which is not extremely a problem, that's not extremely an issue. We will go most likely if it becomes unmanageable only, right? Also, some of the doctors are, even though now most of the doctors are back and seeing the patients, except some of the senior doctors. So there is an issue in the acute care. So there is an impact as far as the business is concerned as well. So to that extent, if you look at the baseline business, there is an impact. So that will have an impact in the growth as well. However, COVID itself is bringing its own challenges to people and opportunities as well for the sector, right? So from that point of view, vaccine is a journey that a lot of companies are on. There are also other medicines like hydrochloroquine and remdesivir and other medicines which is used for treatment. So those kind of azithromycin is another one. Yeah, so those kind of medicines will see growth, respiratory treatments, because of the COVID issues. So all those sectors will see a extra push in terms of the growth. So I think I can't exactly say where it will be, how much it will be, etc. But I think this is how I think about the growth story. There is some opportunity as well as there are some challenges. So the sector will do okay, I think. Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. Let me ask you, Ravi, from an R&D point of view, how do you see what the role of R&D is as far as this sector is concerned, and what are the what is the how do you see R&D making an expanding influence in this sector as we go because of the new challenges which is here?
Yeah, R&D has actually a very good opportunity as far as the future of the medicine is concerned, because we don't know what is going to come next. So people are sort of R&D people are going to be guessing and then being on a toe. They have to be a bit fast as far as the the any molecule development is concerned. But only challenges are that even if something is developed, there are a lot of formalities and the procedures which are followed, whether it is at state government level or the US FDA level. Okay, so those are things, something I think which I feel the process should be bit shortened, so that the right amount of medicine can go to the right people at the right time. And definitely the R&D is going to have a very good role in future in this particular segment.
Okay. Now, I think as far as technology is concerned, also, do you see there is a role that we as technology flag bearers in the company can help R&D?
Yeah, definitely. Because any development is technology driven. So any new development in terms of technology should be deployed in the organization to make sure that we get the the most efficient results out of it. So technology definitely is going to have a driver as far as the future R&D perspective is concerned.
Yeah, so I think this sector in especially in the Indian generic sector, where we are also trying some new molecule development, etc. There is a significant role, and I think all the Indian pharma companies probably needs to grab that opportunity.
Yes.
And start using technology to drive not just the manufacturing,
Yes.
but also to enhance the speed of drug discovery
Right.
and developing new molecules. So this is a new area for a lot of us. But I think as far as the new technologies are concerned, artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., there is a ton of opportunity out there which can help. But this is a mindset shift as well in many instances.
Yes.
So the industry as a whole will have to open the arms and start adopting this technology, so that there is new ways of new and better ways of doing it. Is what I think.
That, That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, as far as other technology deployments are concerned, Ravi, what is the story there in Vanbury? How do you think that is happening in your company, as well as how do you see this going forward in the healthcare and pharma industry sector is concerned? What are the big ones which you think is going to?
Digitization is one of the quick wins in this particular area as far as the opportunity is concerned, because the moment the digitization is done, then we have to think about as far as the production part is concerned, the robotic particular technology, robotic process automation, that is the one thing. And then as far as the decision making, this particular or coming to a particular decision is concerned, we have to think of the ML part of it, because a lot of things are required to be system driven instead of a person dependent, because human again finally taking decision on that, it will have some impact on the speed of the development is concerned. So the ML will be the next one, and the robotic process automation as far as the shop floor thing is concerned.
Okay.
But before we do these things, yes, IoT part is required.
Yeah. Okay. So is this a journey that you have already started on?
No, we are thinking of it. We are just in the discussion phase right now, and then we will be opting out some of these things.
But I just want to pick a little bit on what you said. In the digitization journey, you think it is going to be a quick win? There might be some quick wins there, but there might be some difficult wins also there, right? I mean,
yes. Yeah, like we have to catch the low-hanging fruits first, and then see that how it responds, and then take the next one. It's like
and organizationally, are you seeing the receptiveness towards this?
It will not be immediately, but then yes, we have to involve people who are the decision makers, to have into the discussions, and then we have to feed them the information. So yes, as far as the change is concerned, change is not something which is accepted by the human being immediately. They always try to see what are the pros and cons of this, and then subsequently the decisions are taken.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I think I feel as an industry, when I talk to some of the leaders, in the sector, they are seeing that this is sort of a must-do. Many of them, maybe not everybody, but many of them are seeing that this is a must-do, because if you don't do it now, you can actually be left behind. It's like some of the stories where we have some pioneering companies were left behind, like Sony, what they did. It took a long time for them to recover because they did not move with the trend and the technology advancements that was happening, right? So similarly, I think there is a realization that we need to, grab the opportunity, embrace technologies, go through the digitization journey, and that too not just in manufacturing and quality. Manufacturing and quality, of course, there is a lot of opportunity that we can go after as far as the yield management is concerned, as far as the efficiency of the processes are concerned, utilities, and quality processes. There are a lot of things that we can do. But also, if you look at it from the front end, sales and marketing point of view, the way engagement happens with the doctor community, healthcare professional community, those are also going through a transformation. Doctors are a very, very busy lot of people who does not have time to even think, right? Because the number of patients that they see on a daily basis is very, very high. But now they're realizing that without technology adoption, that is a section of the patient community cannot be served. and hence they are really open towards adopting these kind of technologies, whether it is teleconsultation or whether it is even content consumption, whether it is prescription management. All those things are going virtual and online, so that the patient can get the services. That is an area where I am seeing there is a huge shift in mindset as well. As normalcy, or whatever sort of normalcy that comes back after COVID, there will be a new normal. There will be a lot of people who will continue to leverage this kind of technology. There might be cases where doctors might say, okay, the first time they want to physically see because of the specific condition that is being discussed, but then the follow-ons are most likely going to be online, is what we're hearing. And then in the middle, whatever is their supply chain, traditionally also everybody wanted to do a lot of things. This is the most complex part, but I think that will also go through some acceleration, is what I think. So there's a lot of interesting times ahead as far as technology deployment is concerned. This is the field, this is the understanding that I have based on many discussions that I've had inside as well as outside my company. Yeah. So what is your action plan looking like for the next year?
Actually, we don't know how the things are going to be, but still we have to make action plan for the next year. One of the most important things will be, we have to think about the protection of IPA, so in terms of security. So that will be the topmost part in the list. And then subsequently, we have to think of going more into digitizations and try to exploit the cloud, so that the information are available to people at any time. And then look about the doing the the automations, as we discussed earlier, in the shop floor level, so that we can have the movement and the accuracy in the entire process.
And do you already have all the foundation systems like LIMS, eBPR, etc. already in place, or?
eBPR, no, we don't have. That's what I said. The eBPR is something which we'll be talking about. Yes, LIMS part is already there. So, because there was the challenges earlier, the regulators were not ready to accept the eBPR directly. So, but now I think things are changing now, and things are moving. But yes, this is one of the good steps which we will discuss with the actual stakeholders and then take a call on them.
Okay, very good. So, do you also see a need for sort of new technology capabilities to be developed or acquired within your organization to cope with the new challenges that you have?
Yes, there is an opportunity for the new technology. Because whatever we deployed, that was something like more than 4-5 years back. And then definitely we need to have the improvement. We need to go for the new systems which are more efficient than what it is right now. And then think about enhancing the other areas. For example, a simple example, like we are using SAP. But yes, we will go for the next version of SAP, which is S/4HANA, so that the actual decision makers are not depending on that information which has pushed to them, but they can directly see things on the fly. So these are the plans what we have.
Okay, so you think there is some sort of reskilling and upskilling also needed for the team?
Yes, it will be required, because the same team, it is difficult to manage or get adapted to the new technology. So yes, there will be upskilling in the team.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I think thanks, Ravi. This has been a good discussion. So overall, what we are saying is that COVID, while it has brought a lot of challenges, this is possibly opening a window of opportunity as well, especially from a technology leverage point of view. And hence, this is something which we as the technology department needs to grab and do whatever it takes as far as the deliveries are needed, whether it is foundational systems missing, where you need to go and put that in, or whether it is the data leverage that we can bring on top of that, as far as the data analytics, intelligence, learning, artificial intelligence and ML and things like that. So there's a lot of opportunity which is out there, and whoever grabs it, whoever makes the best out of it, is probably going to come out as a winner, is what we're saying, right?
Yes, I agree.
All right.
Agree.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Ravi. It was good talking to you. Thank you very much.